Hello and welcome to our 8-session journey towards living an abundant life. I am so grateful that you have chosen to join me over these next 8 sessions as we really explore what it means to live life and to live it abundantly. My name is Stephanie Cook, and I will be your guide through the next 8 sessions as we dig into the Word of God and we really look at what it means to be promised an abundant life. I want to start by just sharing a story with you guys. So several years ago, my daughter was moving into her first apartment. She had lived in the dorm and she'd lived in the sorority house, but we'd not yet furnished an apartment. And as you know, furnishing a brand new apartment can be quite costly. But I was super excited when a friend of mine shared a store in Kentucky that she had found that had all kinds of items from stores like Pier 1 and Target and places that had a lot of home decor, but these were incredibly discounted. Most of them had some little something wrong. So for example, I found some lamps that the lampshades were missing, lots of curtains and shower curtains that were not packaged. And so it was really like a treasure hunt to go into this store, to dig through these items and to see what kind of bargains you could get just because some little something was wrong and they weren't able to put them out on the retail shelves. One of the things that I knew I really wanted to look for was some patio furniture or something cute to go out on the little balcony and that they were going to have access to, knowing that they would probably enjoy sitting out there and having some morning coffee, maybe studying, or even being out there before the UT football game, getting ready to experience all the things that you do when you're in college and being able to sit outside regularly to do that. So I was super excited when I came up on a whole little section full of patio furniture or outdoor furniture. One of the things I noticed immediately was a box that was clearly from Target, only because I could see the little red bullseye on the cardboard box, and it said bistro set. And I thought that would be perfect for this small space that we were trying to furnish for them. And so I opened up the box and I looked in and I could see that it was a white metal bistro set. It looked like all of the parts were there, and it was incredibly discounted. And so I was so excited to carry that out and to bring that home along with many other treasures. So we stored all of those things in our bonus room throughout the summer. And so when August came and it was time to move her in, we loaded all of those things up and took them to Knoxville. And my husband spent the day putting things together and trying to get things ready for her brand new apartment. But when it came time to put that bistro set together, we poured out all the parts, and much to our dismay, something pretty important was missing. There were no instructions. In fact, there wasn't even a picture of what the bistro set might look like when we got it put together. So we had lots of metal parts, we had lots of screws, but we had no idea how those things were going to come together to create the bistro set that we felt like that's what we had purchased. So luckily we do live in the age of Google, and we got on the internet and we got on Target's website, and I was able to find what I felt like was pretty close to what we were trying to recreate. And my husband used those instructions or used that picture to put those pieces together and to be able to make that bistro set work. And it turned out really, really cute. I share that story because I feel like that's the way many of us are trying to get to our abundant life. We know we have all the parts. We know we have all the pieces. We're just not quite sure how those are supposed to come together to make us feel like we're living an abundant life. So it is my heart and my goal over the next 8 sessions that we're going to look at those parts individually, and that at the end we will have come full circle and we'll be able to put those pieces together, put those parts together, and you will begin to experience life and experience it more abundantly. One thing about this journey that you're going to be on is it's completely up to you how much you want to put into it. Each week, I will provide some homework activities, some thoughtful questions for you, and you can spend as much time on those or as little time on those as you choose to. Obviously, like anything, the more you put into it, the more you're likely to get out of it, but it is your journey. It is not about me. This is your journey. And so I, again, only want to serve as a guide for you. I want to serve as someone just helping lead the way, pointing out some things that you may have missed along the journey, and just help guide you to understand, again, how those pieces might come together for you. The other thing I would say is you do have access to some individual coaching with me if you choose to do that. So I will make sure that the details are linked so that you can figure out if you want to do some one-on-one coaching with me along the way, how you can get access to that and how I can be a part of your journey in a much more involved way. Again, I'm so grateful you're here, and I cannot wait to get started living an abundant life. Hey guys, I brought you to one of my favorite places because I want to share with you my story and why this Living an Abundant Life course is so important to me. So we're in my backyard. I hope that you will tolerate the cars going by, maybe the dogs barking, definitely the birds chirping, so that I can just spend some time with you, like I said, in one of my favorite places to be. There's nothing special here at all, but I have learned over the last few years to really appreciate the simplicity of nature. I have found that for me, being outside is my happy place. I have really worked hard to kind of discover or rediscover how God made me, what He made me to enjoy, and what's important to me, what gifts and talents He's given me, really kind of focusing on not myself for the sake of just being self-centered and focusing on myself, but really to reconnect and rediscover what it is that matters to me. And so what I will tell you is, like many of you, I, as a mom, was pouring 110% into my children. I was crazy about all the things they were involved in, and they were both incredibly busy, and I enjoyed every minute of that. I enjoyed the ball games and the dance recitals and the dance competitions and just the going and going and going all the time. I really wanted to be the best mom that I could be. I wanted to make sure that they grew up to be good people, to love God and to love others. And so as that began to happen over years and years and years of that, and what I found is I lost sight of who I was. And so once my daughter, who was my youngest, left for college and my husband and I were kind of here on our own, I began to really think about, what is it that even makes me happy? I can honestly tell you that when someone said, "What do you enjoy doing?" I couldn't answer the question, because what I had enjoyed doing for so long was really just pouring myself into my kids. And so I didn't have a hobby. I did not have interests. I did not have a life apart from my children and my husband. And so that was a really scary time for me. And so what I began to do is some soul searching, and I began to really think about, okay, Lord, I want to reconnect. I want to make sure that I'm living the life that you have planned for me. And so as a result of that, I began this journey that I'm going to take you on. I began to look to scripture, and I also began to ask questions, because I had been a church girl. I'd been in church my whole life. And so there were so many scriptures that I could quote chapter and verse, but when it came time to really apply those or to really believe those in my heart, I just didn't. I didn't get it. It did not sink in at all for me. So verses like, "Do not worry, do not be anxious, be still and know that I am God," those were verses that I'm like, I've read those, I've heard those, but that doesn't feel like it applies to me. And so I really began to even question my own faith. And so I began to wrestle with God about what it was that all of those scriptures that I had read, I had memorized, I knew to be true. I knew it was me and not Him. God is who He is, and He is real, and He is true. So I knew the issue was not God, the issue was me. But how could I access those things that He promised me as a believer? He promised me as one of His children. And so I began to really look at, what do you like to do? What makes you happy? Where are you happiest? I really began to notice things around me. I began to notice when I felt full, and I felt joyful, and I felt like I was receiving mercy and grace. And I began to really notice when I was frustrated, or I was angry, or I was confused. I began to really take notice of the moments, the small moments of life. And one of the things I soon realized is being outside like I am right now is one of my happiest places to be. I really love to connect to nature. I love to admire the work that He does. I love to admire the state that I live in, and the beautiful green trees and the green grass and the blue sky, and just all of the ways that He just paints pictures for us every day that we miss because we're so busy in the hustle and bustle. I also began to think about my own personality, about the things that I loved and the things that I hated. And we're going to talk about the Enneagram in the next couple of weeks, which is going to be really important for you guys to kind of think about as well. So I began to think about how I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. And for so many years of my life, the things that He created uniquely in me, I would run from. I didn't want to have those personality characteristics. I wanted to be someone else. I would compare my life to someone else's life and think that they had it better than I had it, or even, like I said, the traits that they had in their own personalities. I wanted those instead of the ones that He had given me. I wanted the gifts and the talents of others and not the gifts and the talents that He had given me. And so as a result of, again, searching and becoming just absolutely miserable, depressed, anxiety-filled, sad, I began to realize, like, this is not all there is. This is not the life that God had planned for me. And so again, what I hope to show you as we talk about your personality, we talk about the Enneagram, as we talk about the fruit of the Spirit and what that even means, as we talk about spiritual gifts, as we talk about pitfalls, as we talk about spiritual disciplines, that over the next 8 weeks, when you really take all of those pieces, like I shared in the illustration of the bistro set, when you take all of those pieces that God has given you and you really begin to accept who you are and embrace that, again, not because it's all about you, or it's all about me. It certainly is not. Our purpose has very little to do with us and a lot more to do with God and others. But once we begin to really embrace those things and we begin to grow in those things, what we're capable of doing and how we're able to experience joy and abundance becomes so clear. And so I cannot wait to share this time with you, and I hope that you will realize as we go through, and I'll share more and more examples from my own story, that this is a journey that I took and I believe in it, and I want it for everyone, because I don't believe that I'm the only woman out there that sometimes stops and wonders who she even is. And so I hope that through the experience that we take together, through your honesty, through your willingness to open your heart to what God would have you to hear, to your willingness to kind of open your eyes about blind spots you may have in your own life, and to begin to really think about Him and to think about others, that you're going to realize that living abundantly is much easier than we sometimes think. So again, I'm so glad that you're here. I so appreciate your time to listen to my story, to go on this journey with me, and I really believe in it.